You're listening to episode 18 of the Inspired Entrepreneur's Guide podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Inspired Entrepreneur's Guide, the podcast that encourages you to stop dreaming and start doing. I'm your host, Darlene Victoria. And gosh, you guys, I feel like it's been ages since I produced a podcast episode for you, but it's only been last month since I released an episode. I have a lot going on and some exciting news. So one of the reasons why I scaled back on releasing podcast episodes for this series is because I have a new series coming out called Home Office Fit, and that will be launching this month. So the series is all about reminding you work-at-home entrepreneur moms and ladies to take care of yourself, to get up and move throughout the course of the day, to take care of you. So if you would like to hear some of those episodes and follow me along on that series, head on over to homeofficefit.com to listen in. So let's jump into this month's Inspired Entrepreneur's Guide episode. This month, I chat with an entrepreneur that knows a lot about transition and growth, as you will hear as she relays her entrepreneurial journey during our conversation. She's also the owner of a multi-VA business. Not only do we talk about creating and managing a multi-VA business, we also talk about being a virtual assistant. And for those of you that are new out there, we also talk about rates and charging what you are worth. This is definitely a conversation that you will want to listen to if you're just starting out as a virtual assistant or a business owner working from home. Or maybe you're someone that is considering the transition from a solo virtual assistant business to a multi-VA business. This month, my special guest is Terry Green of Busy's Support Solutions. And so without any further delay, here is my conversation with Terry, starting out with a very brief introduction. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Inspired Entrepreneur's Guide podcast. I'm your host, Darlene, and my guest this month is an established business owner having entrepreneurial roots dating back to about 1991. And in 2004, she broadened her scope of business by becoming a virtual assistant. She has held such titles as past president of IVAA, the International Virtual Assistants Association, and she's the president and CEO of a multi-virtual assistant company. She supports clients around the world, mainly focusing on speakers and coaches. I am very pleased to welcome my guest, Terry Green of Busy's Support Solutions. Terry, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Darlene. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I did an introduction, but I'd like you to take some time, a moment or two, to tell me a little bit about your business and why you started it.
Well, for some reason, I think I had always thought that it would be really great to be able to have my own business because I was a secretarial administrative assistant, whatever you want to call, whatever I did wherever I worked for years and years. And I just got tired of working for some of the people that I had the privilege, I guess, of working with other people who controlled what I did, how far I went with the company, how much I got paid, and well, I had some really great bosses. I had some real turkeys, too. So when my kids back in, I guess it was in the beginning of 1991, I had 3 kids that one of them had already entered the teens, one was preteen, and one was following. And I discovered that I needed to be at home with them. So I quit my job, planned to stay home and do nothing, but I found a book at the library that was it was written by 40 different women who had started their own businesses, primarily in the support field, secretarial services, bookkeeping, things like that. So I just decided that was what I wanted to do. of course, the internet wasn't really around. I think it had just started back then, but it wasn't really around. So I started a secretarial and resume writing service. I started it at home, but lived in a really small town that really didn't understand the concept of a home-based business. So I found an office. It opened up in in a building where one of my friend's aunts worked, and it worked out really well. That I got a lot of clients at first, which is really unusual, but I had to do the traditional marketing, sending out, getting the chamber list, sending out letters, putting ads in the phone book, things like that. But that's really how I got started.
Awesome. So when you first started your business, a couple comments. I recently said to a friend today that sometimes you don't find a book, that a book finds you. And in your case, I think that's so fitting.
Yes.
And second, so you started your business you went to an office, to a building, and you have an office. So let's talk about transitioning then to virtual assistants. How did that go about, and how did you make the transition from office, secretarial and resume support to virtual assistant?
Well, that kind of just happened as well because back in late 90s, I had a lovely office. Let's put it that way. I had moved into this great office in this nice building with wonderful furniture, and it was great, but it was really, really expensive. And it was kind of my getaway. It was my way of escaping. And so all of my money went into that, and I realized that I needed to do something. So I moved my business back home again, and not too long after that, I ended up getting a divorce, which made it necessary for me to find a job, which I really didn't want to do, but, get a job so that I could pay the bills, because the money that I made through my company really wouldn't support me at that point.
Right.
So we had a few years of life getting in the way, and then some personal things happened with my other personal things with my family, and so a couple of years passed, and I was working my business still part-time. I was very fortunate to have a job where my boss didn't care. If I did my business, I was doing transcription for one client at that time, and I was still writing resumes, and as long as I got my work done, he didn't care. So I was able to keep my business at least going. But when I finally got to the point that I was ready to go back full force, I looked for the organization that I had belonged to, which was the National Association of Secretarial Services. And that was no longer in existence. And I looked up the only name that I could remember from the association, and it happened to be Nina Feldman. And so I called her and asked her, what happened to NASS. So she explained, but she told me about IVA and told me that it was available to be virtual. And by then, by 2004, the internet was in full swing. All of that was really, really pretty easy. So once I found out about that, I got really, really excited, because it meant that I no longer had to work with, little old men, little old women, writing their memoirs, or, because I was out in the country. So I joined IVA, and I met a very wonderful woman who had a course for virtual assistants, and it was actually about how to run your business. And so I sucked up, paid the money, although it really wasn't that much, or as much as she covered. But that's actually what put me in the direction of working with speakers as well. It's taking her course, because she used that used working with speakers as an example. And I thought, I would like that. So when I switched from being a resume and secretarial service to becoming a VA, I got rid of all of my local clients and started working only with virtual clients. And to this day, I don't work with clients in my own state.
That's so interesting. Was that jump scary or exciting going from not local but to global?
I don't think it was that scary. I should have been a little more scared than I was going from a secretarial service to a virtual assistant.
Right.
I thought I had it in the bag, though, because I thought, I can do that, no problem. But I didn't realize I was going to be working with things like one shopping cart.
Right.
I didn't really understand that pretty much everything I was going to do was going to switch from being letters, handing someone a physical letter to, setting up a shopping cart for them. So once I started getting clients, it was like, oh. But, it was all stuff that I really enjoyed doing. So the transition wasn't that bad. I mean, it was, and I really, really did like being able to work with clients in other places. I think my first client as a VA was in Arizona. And I just looked upon her. She was a really well-known speaker, and I had no clue she was as big as she was until I actually, she came to Columbus and spoke, and it was when she came to speak that I realized, oh, she's kind of a big speaker.
Yeah, like I just stepped in something pretty special here.
Yeah. But I never looked back after that. I mean, right. I really, really love being able to work with, clients all over the U.S. I probably got half and half Canada, U.S. I've had clients in Switzerland, Sweden, Singapore, Italy, you name it.
That's awesome.
And it's just great.
See, I picked up on, and we're going to kind of dive into this, and next is, a lot of the specialized services, learning one shopping cart, and I believe a wish list.
Yes.
Yes. And a lot of other specialized things, and I know that stuff you are yourself well versed in. But you also have a multi-VA company, which your company is now, with a lot of specialized service team members. And so I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. First, why you decided, okay, it's time to transition again and start a multi-VA company. And then how has that helped you grow your business?
I think one of the reasons it became a necessity is because I had so many clients. I was working, it seemed like 24/7, but I was working at least 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and clients were starting to ask for things that I really wasn't that good at. And even things that I had no clue how to do. And if I remember, I know the first thing I did was one of the other VAs kept bugging me, telling me I needed to bring on a team member. So when I started doing a lot of newsletters, I found someone who did newsletters, and I found someone who did websites. And so they were working with me. But I got so busy and got to a point that I had to do something. It was either bring people on or continue to work 24/7 or raise my rates so high that nobody could afford me. And I really didn't want to stop taking on new clients because, one, I really enjoy that part, and I really enjoy the clients I work with. So I had been to, I don't think it was an IVA event. I think it was the Forum on Virtual Assistants, and met a woman by the name of Michelle Jamison, who actually coined the term multi-VA. And I won a marketing package from her. So as we were doing the marketing package, we started talking about me being so overworked. So she asked if I wanted her to coach me on becoming a multi-VA company, and I said, sure. Well, after the first week, she realized, or after the first session, she realized that I was in such dire need that she said, we're just going to jump in. So she helped me work through all the things with contracts and, you know, how to interview and how to bring people on. And so that's really how I started as a multi-VA company. And it's not for everybody. I know lots of people who have tried it and they hate it.
Right.
They don't like anything about it, but I love it. One, I love, I've got great team members. I'm kind of picky about my team members. I typically only bring people on the team that I know very, very well. So I know their track record, or someone that has been recommended very highly.
Right.
I've only been burned a couple of times. For the most part, though, all of my team members have been wonderful. And my business has grown because I've been able to bring on team members who do things very, very well that I don't do. I don't do web design. I can get I can install a WordPress site. I can do a lot in WordPress, but I have no clue how to a theme or anything, and I don't want to learn.
Right.
So I have people to do websites. I have a very talented podcasting, someone to do my podcasting because that's not something I know. What are some of the other things I don't know? There are so many other things I don't know and that's how I really grew my team. And the team grew based on the services that clients were asking for. So I figured, I'd really rather keep the clients in-house rather than them going somewhere to get something else and do something else. And plus the fact, the older I get, and I never thought I would get to this point, I never understood how someone would want to hand off all the work to someone else because that's what I really enjoy doing. But now what I enjoy is I enjoy running the company. Much more than I enjoy doing the work. I will work with some clients one-on-one. I will do wishlist member because I am a certified wishlist developer. I will do one shopping cart. I will work in MailChimp. I'll do things, but I don't like to do it on a regular basis because I really like to be free to, hang with my family. Today I took off to take my granddaughter to a job interview and my great-grandson to his doctor's appointment. And that's that's important to me. So it's really helped in not just growing my business, but maintaining my business, and it also allowing me to transition into more of, just the management role.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very, so many different points in there, questions that I would have asked that you addressed, especially about, giving up that control, but how now you just, it's freeing for you now because you get to focus on all of that marketing and the stuff you enjoy and family.
But it's not easy.
Oh, no.
That was my hardest thing was because I'm a control freak. I like being in charge.
We all are. If we're really involved in our business, I think we all are.
But if you use something like Basecamp, that really was my business salvation because that allowed me to see everything that everybody was doing.
Right.
So it was kind of like I was just like that fly on the wall, being able to watch. And if anything bad happened, I could jump right in.
Right.
So that made it much more palatable and made it a lot easier for me to make that transition.
Absolutely. Those team management systems allow you to take out that question of like what emails are going back and forth between my client and my team members.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And it's not to say that there's no trust, but at the end of the day, it's your name on the company. So.
Yeah, and it's only my opinion, but I think any business owner that doesn't have their hand in there at least watching what's going on is not a smart business owner.
Right.
Because that's when things hit you in the face. That's when all of a sudden you've got a big issue that could have been avoided had you known what was going on to begin with. But, you know, I prefer to know things as they happen, you know, so I can circumvent, you know, issues that don't need to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or, you know, and focus on the positive to see the good things too. Like, oh, awesome. Go team busies.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to talk, we've mentioned a few times about IVA, and you were a past president, and you're also, you know, we're both members. I see that you're active on the Facebook group and various other groups. So I want to talk directly to those people that are listening that are virtual assistants and might be new to the industry.
Okay.
If there's one thing, it's really pretty basic. If there's one thing that you wanted to tell someone that wants to start a business or a virtual assistant business specifically, what would that one piece of advice be?
Can I have two pieces?
Absolutely.
Okay, the first thing is don't quit your day job. If you're already at home and your income is not required, great. But that's not usually the case, and that's not typically why someone wants to become a VA. They usually say, oh, I want to stay at home, so I can type, I have a computer, I can do this. But unless you are very, very, very fortunate, clients don't just fall into your lap. It takes time to get your business to the point that you can really afford to not have that income that you had before. I mean, I know some VAs who have, you know, it's taken them a year to get a client. I've known other VAs that, you know, right out of the gate, they've got their first client and they just seem to fall in their lap. A lot of it depends on the industry they want to support, the type of work that they do, where they live, how they market, that type of thing. But don't quit your day job until you're in a position that you can afford to. So that's my first one. The second one is don't charge too little. I see. Well, I had someone ask me the other day if I knew of any VAs who charged a reasonable rate. And I asked her, I said, what is a reasonable rate to you? And she said, oh, you know, she said, $15 an hour. It's just gross. $15 an hour. I mean, you're not a VA. You know, you need to go get a job if you're only going to charge $15 an hour. You have to, most people, to back it up, most people go into business for one main reason, to earn money. And in order to earn money, you need to make a profit. And if you don't look at your expenses, you've got to look at how much you want to make, what your expenses are, to determine how much you need to charge to be able, one, to pay those expenses, and two, to, you know, bring in a little money as a profit. So it's, you know, hook up with an organization like IVA and talk to other, you know, established VAs, somebody to find out what you need to do to price your services. Because I see so many new VAs saying, well, I work at home. You know, I already had my computer. I don't have any overhead. But you do have overhead. You can't always find free programs. You need to invest in, you know, growing your business, and there are all kinds of different expenses that you don't think of. And if you don't charge enough, you'll be out of business. You'll burn out and be miserable because you're working all the time and not bringing in any money. and before you know it, you'll be out of business. So those are my two things.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad you brought up both of those. I will fully admit that I fell into the charging $15 an hour when I first started. I think many of us do, and many of us have that hard wake-up call pretty early in our business, or we don't, and we burn out and crash to the ground.
Yep. I was very fortunate there, because when I joined the National Association of Secretarial Services, I think I had decided I was going to charge between, $10 and $15 an hour, because and this was in 91, because I didn't know anything. The very first, I hadn't been a part of the organization for more than a month, and I saw that they were doing a 2-day seminar on pricing your services. I went. I came away in 1991 charging $23 an hour.
Nice. Yeah.
And so
very well should.
To see people charging that now, 25 years later, it just makes me cringe.
Yes. And this is a total aside. I don't even know if, where this will fit, but I had someone, I responded to something. It wasn't an RFP. It was some recruiter for VAs, and she actually is a VA herself. And she said, oh, well, your rate's kind of more than what my clients would, be willing to pay. So I was curious, So I said, well, what rate are they willing to pay? And my jaw dropped, Terry. She said $10 to $13 an hour.
Oh, my. And
I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, well, I wanted to say good luck with that.
I was thinking, do I know this recruiter? Because I know a couple of VAs that
my mouth hit the floor, because I'm like, you're a VA and you're I think she's a new recruiter, so I don't think she's new herself, because she used, a long time VA herself, because she used the term resume.
Yeah. See,
so
those are the people I just want to smack upside the head. Yeah. They infuriate me, because they go against everything that we've tried to work out of.
Absolutely.
To get people to look at us, one, as business owners. We're not secretaries.
No.
We're business owners. In fact, that's what my my Wednesday wisdom post today was about. I think it was, remember your VA is a business owner just like you, so respond in kind. But it's, how are business owners going to come to an understanding that we are business owners? We have to make a living, and we partner with them, and we're worth it. Right. When you have another VA saying, oh, here, I can get you somebody for $15 an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of like, too, if you think about it, like if you're going through the phone book, I know nobody uses the phone book anymore, but you pick out, like, say you call 2 plumbers, and one says, oh, my rate's $13 an hour, and the other one says $50. You're going to question why the one plumber's $13 an hour anyway. Yes. You're going to say, wait a minute, how knowledgeable are they in this area?
Exactly.
Kind of like you get what you pay for.
And if you're smart, you'll always question. You won't question why the other person's charging $50 an hour.
Right.
You'll question the other one. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. But that's a battle.
It is. Well, I'm glad we talked about this, because it's something that I think a lot of new business owners, virtual assistants, or any kind of service provider needs to hear, and maybe they'll think about, really think about it, and I'll put some tools in the show notes that'll help them figure out their rates. There's, the expense calculator.
Exactly.
So I think, yeah. So
yeah, nothing below 35.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing when you think about, like, I started my business in 2008 and where I am now, and it's just amazing what I used to charge. It's kind of embarrassing, but, I learned my lesson.
Yep.
So
yeah, live and learn.
Exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about, we talked about starting a business and rates, I want to talk one more popular concept and topic is niche or your services. Mm-hmm. And for you focus a lot on speakers and coaches, and we talked about why earlier as to how you got into the speaker, realm. But for those people wanting to know how, or they're struggling to find their niche, what advice would you share about that? Maybe a tip or advice on how you decided to focus specific services towards coaches or speakers to help them get some creative ideas flowing?
Well, like I said, I kind of happened into speakers just because that was the first target market presented to me. And I thought, because I don't think I would have thought of speakers. I don't think I would have even considered that I could provide services that they would need. And the reason I work with coaches is because I found that speakers, coaches, and consultants. Speakers often coach, coaches often speak, and they all consult.
Right.
So they just seem to mesh together and fit together, because I know a lot of your newer speakers are coaches who have decided to expand their speaking.
Right.
And as far as choosing your niche, what you want to do what you love to do. I mean, that really guides you. If you've been in business for any period of time and you provide administrative support, you might do technical support as well, you might do websites, you're going to find the things that you enjoy doing, the things you don't enjoy doing. I love working with speakers, and I love working with business coaches. I don't enjoy working with life coaches. Some of them do fit in that I've enjoyed working with, but for the most part, I don't enjoy working with life coaches. So I don't work with life coaches. I don't work with contractors or insurance agents or when you sell your house, what?
Realtors.
Yes, realtors. Gosh.
Yeah.
Although at one time I thought, maybe I'll be a Reva. Maybe I'll do real estate.
I thought that too. Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't. Those are not things I enjoy doing. So that's one way to pick your target market. Because I really think that unless you're doing something like web design, if you love web design, and that's just what your passion is, then that's easy. You do web design, but you can do it for a variety of different target markets. The same with wishlist member, building membership sites, which is how my clientele got a little bit muddy, because everybody needs a membership site. I mean, I don't mean everybody needs one, but it's not just relegated to speakers or not just to coaches. A variety of different industries out there can use membership sites. Right. I ended up with an influx of financial planners solely because they wanted membership sites.
Right.
So that to me is really how you choose your target market and or your niche. I mean, it can be, you can have a target market and a niche. You can have one or the other. It just depends on who you enjoy working with and what you enjoy doing. You can't, I still don't believe you can be a jack of all trades. And I fought narrowing my niche down on my website. There was that panic of, if I don't include so-and-so, then I'm going to lose prospects. It's the opposite. The more, I finally just said, okay, we're going to do it. And I hired a copywriter, and she wrote everything specifically toward speakers and coaches. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I had more inquiries. They were more qualified. Mm-hmm. I still get other people, calling and asking about services. It hasn't stopped anybody else. But because you are specific in what you want to do, it makes you look more like an expert in your field. It gives people more confidence. They look at it and they say, oh, she knows a lot about speakers. But that's who I'm targeting. So I want people to, say she knows a lot about speakers. So really that to me is how I'm sure there are other ways to choose. Mm-hmm. That to me seems to be the most tried and true. Just do what you love to do. If you don't like Excel spreadsheets, don't do Excel spreadsheets. I don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't enjoy them either.
Oh, there are some people who do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Michelle Mangin loves them, and she's like a star at them. Yep. So there's people in every niche, every area that has their thing.
Exactly.
So I couldn't have said it any better. Do what you love.
That's what it is. And you'll be happier.
Absolutely.
You won't be grumping every time you see someone's name come, through in an email, or every time a project comes up and you think, oh my God, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And the same goes through for the type of client too.
Yep.
The financial planner versus maybe for me, the podcaster. Mm-hmm. If I get the podcaster email and the financial planner email, I know which email is going to make me jump and be excited.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You got it.
Well, this has been a fun chat. I know that we could keep going and have so many different topics to talk about, but for this time, I'd like to wrap it up, but I'd love to give you the chance to tell people where they can find you, your website URL, and all of that good stuff.
Okay. You can find me at bizeasesupport.com. That's B-I-Z as in zebra, E-A-S-E support.com. And you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, pretty much everywhere. I'm trying to think of what I don't know what my name is on Facebook. You can look me up by Terry Green. There are an awful lot of Terry Greens. It might be Terry L. Green or Terry Lynn Green, since there are so many Terry Greens. But most of all, you can find me at bizeasesupport.com, and there are links to all my social media platforms on my website. And if you have any questions about being a VA or needing a VA or anything like that, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Terry, for being a guest this month on the podcast.
You're welcome. It's been fun.
Okay. It has been. Thank you so much, Terry, for being a guest on the podcast. Listeners, if you want to learn more about Terry and also find a link to her website and any of the resources or items we may have mentioned in this episode, head on over to dvpodcasts.com/inspired and look for episode 18's show notes. Don't forget, everybody, you can sign up for instant notifications for new episodes by heading over to dvpodcast.com and look for the subscribe link or the header that invites you to subscribe for notifications via email. Anybody that signs up for notification of new episodes for the Inspired Entrepreneur's Guide will receive the ebook of the same name for free. So don't delay. Head on over to DV Podcasts and click the Get Notifications link at the very top of the website to get your ebook for free. And hey, everybody, let's connect. Follow me on Twitter at Darlene Victoria. Or if you have a question or concern, you can send an email to darlene@darlenevictoria.com. And finally, you can find me on Facebook. Just search for Darlene Victoria, Digital Media Marketing Support to connect. Well, that does it for this episode, and I will be back next month with a brand new episode. Until next time, remember, be inspired by the most important person in your life, you. This is Darlene Victoria, signing out.